Sonic Mania! The already well-celebrated newest entry to the Sonic the Hedgehog series is inspired by the classic Megasys trilogy, and Knuckles. It was developed by Christian Whitehead, the man responsible for the definitive ports of those classic games that really need a goddamn console release. Maybe they're not actually like Sonic CD.
Tom, what did we say about Sonic CD?
Sonic CD is a very popular Sonic game, but just because I hate its fucking guts doesn't mean I should spend the whole video shitting on it. That?
Yes.
Okay. Perfection. Well, this is a game trying to recapture that 90s Sonic feel, so there's only one way to open this. Perfection. And instantly the title screen is a good indicator of the game's quality with amazing sprite work and some damn fluid animation. And speaking of animation, I just can't get over how absolutely beautiful the opening animation is. Tyson Hesse's hand-drawn style fits classic Sonic incredibly well, and the fluidity of each motion is impeccable. There's life in every frame, and Hyper Potion's excellent music perfectly captures the intro's vibe. If there's one thing Sonic Mania excels at, it's presentation. I mean, you can tell that by the menu alone. Look at that thing! But let's actually get onto the game itself. The game opens with Sonic and Tails traveling to Angel Island. However, instead of Knuckles blocking their way, who is actually just chilling elsewhere, they see 5 egg robos pulling out a mysterious gem known as the Phantom Ruby from the ground. Well, that's a familiar sound effect. It's probably not going to be important at all. And just like that, we're back in Green Hill Zone. Classic. Gameplay-wise, Sonic Mania controls beautifully. After the awful physics of Sonic 4 and the not quite perfect controls of Generations, I can safely say that Mania plays almost identically to the original games. Dare I say, even better. That feeling of building momentum from rolling down slopes is just, unparalleled. Even better is the inclusion of a brand new move for Sonic. A brand new move that'll have you saying, wow, why wasn't this a staple of the franchise? The new drop dash move allows Sonic to roll instantly into a spin dash from jumping, and my god does it add to the speed. No more having to slowly build up speed around loops, now you can just jump straight into it. But you might be thinking, Green Hill Zone? Ha! Nostalgia pandering. Okay, you're not wrong, but there's more to it than that. For example, it's in beautiful HD rather than just going back to how it was in the 90s. I mean, could you imagine if I made this video looking like this? Now that would be nostalgia pandering. I say this because Act 2 of Green Hill Zone shows some variation from the original game with a newer level layout and Sonic CD style music. Of course, the change is exemplified with the boss. What, we're just gonna get another Wrecking Ball boss? Or maybe they'll throw us a twist and have the first boss from Sonic 2? How uninspired would that be? Oh my god, save me! Yep, the final boss from Sonic 2 is our first main boss of this game. And while it is significantly easier than Sonic 2, because god knows that would be terrifying, it still puts up a pretty nice challenge. This is great for newcomers in the series because it doesn't scare them off, and classic fans get thrown a nice juicy bone. And by bone I mean egg. A nice juicy egg. Oh god. Upon beating it, we see Eggman having a really well animated go at the previous egg robos, now turned into a group called the Hard-Boiled Heavies by the Ruby. Eggman snatches it and sends our hero into the next stage. I actually really like they brought back the stage transitions from Sonic 3, but only sometimes? Yeah, they can come up with a reason to go from a brand new level to Stardust Speedway, but not Oil Ocean to Lava Reef. But the transition gets better since the next level is Chemical Plant Zone, and we see the dreaded purple water acting as a foreboding message. Knuckles has the right reaction, that's for sure. It is in this level that I realized what Sonic Mania's main gimmick is. Act 1 of the old levels is essentially a remake of said level with only the mini-boss having variety, but Act 2 is a brand new level with elements taken from a variety of Sonic games. For example, here in Act 2 of Chemical Plant Zone, it throws us elements of Wacky Workbench from Sonic CD with bouncy floors, which also is the first time we actually see what this chemical plant makes. The questions that keep me up at night. But the main difference between this and Sonic CD is I actually know where I'm going this time instead of that clusterfuck of level design. And my god, that remix of Chemical Plant Zone. Well, there's no way Chemical Plant Zone could get any better. Oh my god, the boss is Mean Bean Machine! Like, seriously? A round of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is the boss. I just can't get over that. Even the music is the final boss music from it. But one might think as great as this fan service is, it's actually a jarring change of gameplay that'll throw off casual players. But luckily, the perfect balance of difficulty saves it. It's easy enough for new gamers to actually win, but challenging enough that you can get caught out if you're not paying attention. Also, does that mean Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is canon? Because if it is, that would mean Scratch and Ground are a canon, and I am all for that.
I want to try this booze!
Well, at any rate, Eggman falls victim to his own machine, great design there, and then Sonic and Tails travel through a pipe and wind up in a brand new level called Studiopolis Zone. Studiopolis? It's Hydrosity all over again. Studiopolis Zone is an excellent level which is lively, colourful, fast-paced, and filled to the brim with references to older Sonic games such as Lock-On Technology, Ages, and Sega Sonic Popcorn Shop, you fuck! But my God, the music is excellent.
That's shutting down the street music.
Also, I love me some Dancing Eggman. Look at him go! The boss of Act 1 also is our first fight against one of the hard-boiled heavies. This one being Heavy Gunner, and it's a surprisingly tough fight which involves timing jumps just right in order to hit missiles back at him and... This seems familiar. No, not again! Yeah, this one took me a couple of tries. And by a couple of tries, I mean this was my first game over. But at least the hardboard heavy's theme is dang catchy. After 4 hits, he bails and we enter Act 2, which proves that Studiopolis Zone is essentially Sonic Mania's equivalent of a casino level. It's filled with lots of springs, bumpers, and machines that gain rings. But the smooth transition from a Hollywood-esque city to the inside of a studio is a really nice subtle detail. And then there's the boss of Act 2, which is the power of weather forecasting itself. And you have to survive against the forecast, which is more of a liability to Eggman than anything else. IQ of 300, ladies and gentlemen. And a feminist. Huh, go figure. I especially love the detail of the TV signal cutting out upon Eggman's defeat.
Boy, that sounds
Annoyingly familiar.
Wait a minute, those numbers there.
07/22/16, as in the 22nd of July 2016, when that horrendous livestream Sonic Mania was announced had aired. Yeah,
that's a good one, guys. Yeah, come on, guys.
and just like that, Flying Battery Zone appears, which, let's face it, is one of the best songs in the entire series, and T-Lope's remix of it is outstanding. Sonic Mania also continues its bait and switch theme, which seems to be a recurring thing with its Act 1 boss. You run into the room and see blueprints for a giant robot spider, not unlike the one for the 200th issue of the comic. But nope, Eggman drops you into the trash compactor instead. That's all you're worth to him. And thank God the thing opens upon destroying the magnet, or else we'd have a Saw 5 situation on our hands. Oof. The real joy of Flying Battery is Act 2, because holy shit is it awesome. Going from running around the inside of the battleship to running on the outside in the middle of a storm is awesome. It may be a fairly long level, but damn it, the flair and spectacle is just brilliant. In fact, one thing about Mania's levels is that they are longer than the classic levels, which isn't too bad since the levels are designed around it and the set pieces combined with the pacing makes for some fun levels. But there's still a 10-minute timer that will certainly trip up newcomers to the series. Veterans shouldn't have too much of an issue though. But what I had an issue with is the boss of Act 2. So you enter the boss room and... that tasty foreshadowing! So this boss can go die in a fire. Spikes that you keep getting crushed under? Check. Incredibly precise hit detection? Check. Using the level's gimmick which seems to defy control? Very much check. But who can forget how the sprites spawn a ton of fan art for looking like a separate character. Knowing how self-aware the developers are though, she'll be in the sequel, don't you worry. Now isn't that just the way? There's always that one fucking boss, isn't there? If I ever see that again, I will stop being so polite. And with no transition, we suddenly enter a new level called Press Garden Zone, which is the weirdest setting for a Sonic level. This takes place in a newspaper pressing plant, and despite the premise, it's a really exhilarating level. The sense of speed and momentum here is great, and the background featuring newspapers whizzing and the music adds to the level. Oh look, they even added the scrapped enemy from Sonic 1. Eggman does care after all. Press Garden even features a repeating section like in Sonic 1's Labyrinth Zone and Sonic 3's Ice Cap Zone. Some things never change. Speaking of change though, we reach the Act 1 boss, which is simple enough. Just trick it into bashing blocks and attack it when it's exposed. But as we enter Act 2, the robot explodes and we're suddenly transported into a winter wonderland. So either the robot is filled with liquid nitrogen, or the factory is in a snowy landscape and the robot just blew a hole in the wall. One of those is more likely than the other, I'm sure. Act 2 of Press Garden Zone is beautiful. The background is gorgeous, which is something that Sonic Mania does really well. The intricacy of the chemical plant, the city skyline of Studiopolis Zone, and now the snow-covered garden of Press Garden. The backgrounds in Sonic Mania are lovely. The more serene music also perfectly cements this being a snow level. Having a snow level where getting frozen isn't a bad thing, but instead almost necessary to get around, is certainly a fun concept. That and Sonic's face is great. Luckily, this is actually one of the easiest levels in the game, which is further proven by the boss, which is the second hardboard Heavy Shinobi, who exclusively uses sound effects from the Sega game, The Revenge of Shinobi. He also dares to use the fucking starfish from Sonic 2's Metropolis Zone as shurikens. You fucker, I wouldn't dare wish that on my worst enemies. But outside of that, he's pretty easy, since all you have to do is jump into him when he jumps and then attack him when stunned. Now I'm just curious what the next level is. Oh no. Not Sonic CD. No. This level is fucking great! Sure, it's no secret that I hate Sonic CD, but I've always had a soft spot for Stardust Speedway, but any doubt is extinguished here. Sonic Mania takes the aesthetics, the set pieces, and the gimmicks of the Sonic CD level, and even a bit from Sonic 3's Marble Garden Zone, but fixes the horrendous clusterfuck level design. Now things are coherent and don't feel mindless or cluttered. Hell, they even managed to work in the time travel, acting as transition from Act 1 to Act 2. This means time travel isn't superfluous. And the best part of all, the music is a remix of the Japanese version of Stardust Speedway. It's only fair since Sonic Forces has the American version in it. But of course, where there's Sonic CD, there's Metal Sonic. This boss is awesome. Look at him flying around, boosting, running around a 3D tower in the background, and goddamn dumpy Silver Sonic from the Game Gear games. Oh, this is awesome. Especially since when he hits you, the spike wall behind you catches the rings. Thanks for the exploit. And the lack of stage transition leads us into... So we enter Hydrocity Zone. It's one word, there's no question about it. So the drowning paranoia is back in full bloom. Except now we have boats. That's nifty. And easily the weirdest Easter egg in any Sonic game, to the point that I really don't get it. Grabbing a hook and inputting a specific button combination would change the sound effect on the boosters to that of the YouTuber Donkey. What? Why? Hell, why stop at Donkey? Let's do more.
Yes!
I think that was the worst joke I've ever made. I especially love the background here, which makes Hydrocity appear to be within a cathedral, which is a great idea. Wait, Stardust Speedway Act 1 ends at a cathedral, and this is before the time travel. Wouldn't it be awesome if they were connected like that? Maybe there was a transition all along. And then there's the boss. After seeing Eggman scuba diving, perfection, Sonic jumps into the boss from the original Hydrocity Zone, and now it's time for a role reversal. But for more fan service, there's always the Act 2 boss, which initially sees Eggman chasing Sonic down through the water tunnel, so you better save that sweet, sweet oxygen. But after beating the first wave, the tunnel leads into the original Act 1's boss room, where Eggman takes the place of that boss. So both the original bosses of Hydrocity Zone appear in Sonic Mania, but flipped. Stuff like that is perfect fan service. There's a transition. Mirage Saloon is the next level, and this is where things get different. So Act 1 plays like Sky Chase Zone from Sonic 2, which I could have done without, but it does lead to an Eggman train complete with Eggman as the conductor. He even gets a little hat. Whose is better, Conductor Eggman or Policeman Officer Sonic? Also nice of the train to tell us what the next level is. That is actually a really cool detail. So outside of the train featuring a really well animated gun and the really cool music, Act 1 isn't so great. So thank God Knuckles gets his own Act 1. After being knocked off the tornado, Knuckles goes through a more traditional level, which is actually designed exclusively for him. Having different level design for each character is a really nice thing. Meanwhile, the boss of Act 1 for Sonic and Tails is a real pain in the ass. Despite his adorable face, he can be unpredictable at times. Sure, you can see where he's going to come out of the sand, but whenever he dives from the camera's perspective, it is really hard to gauge when to strike and he can catch you out. Luckily, Knuckles' version is significantly easier, unless you use debug mode. He died as he lived, as a giant robot caterpillar sand snake. Happens to the best of us.
Oh shit! Under the chair. God damn it!
And we're back. So after crashing rather dramatically in the desert, we enter Act 2, which on the flip side is one of my favorite levels. The enemy variety, the set pieces and mechanics, and maybe a contender for my favorite track in the game. I I also appreciate the wanted poster for Team Hooligan themselves, Fang, Bean and Bark, being a nice callback to Sonic Generations. Someday I really want them back. Maybe in Sonic Forces. We enter the boss room where the heavy magician lies, who the manual specifies is female. Because a robot's gender's relevant.
How dare you? Did you just assume my gender?
No, I take it back. This is the worst joke I've ever made. And she emerges from a box as Fang the Sniper. Holy shit! 20 years, baby! So Heavy Magician's technique is shapeshifting, which is easy to attack, by knocking them out and jumping on them. Quite similar to Heavy Shinobi, actually. But that sadly means I have to revoke Fang. Seriously, Sega, where the fuck is this character award? I guess I'll give it to Bark instead. Bean, give it to Bean. My child! You've come back! Now let's give it to Mighty. Well, I tried. After defeating the fan service boss, Sonic and Tails jump into a gun and are fired off into Oil Ocean Zone. Thank you, Eggman Train. Oh, I love that continuity. That is a really random choice to bring back, but if it means we get a new version of that music, I'm happy. And to be fair, it was never the worst level in the world, and this version does it justice. Poor plumber robot just maintaining this bloody oil refinery. Jesus, Sonic, you better watch what you smash. You never know what will happen if you—
Oh god, no, there's fire everywhere. The whole place is on fire. Everything's oiled. Even the fire shield sets it off. Whoa, Nelly.
So Sonic is responsible for a fuck ton of pollution now, which is exactly what Act 2 deals with. In a reference to Sandopolis Zone from Sonic 3, you have to pull on switches to vent out gas so you don't drown in the noxious air. Our hero caused this.
Guess I can't be the hero every time.
And this level does get anxiety inducing. There are points where you're just begging for a switch. Luckily you can dive into submarines if it gets too bad outside. But we do get a bit of a disappointing boss actually. With all the inventive bait and switches or the unique machines and hardboard heavies, we just get a slight variation of the original boss, which I never found that interesting in the first place. Just a few bounces to the head and it's done. It doesn't even set the oil on fire when exploding. Come on, where's the violence and explosions and the death? Yeah, they go and add guns and swords into their games and now I've got a goddamn bloodlust. Thanks, Sonic.
I hope you're happy. What's Sonic again?
You go down there. You stay down there until told otherwise. And down there happens to be Lava Reef Zone returning from Sonic and Knuckles, and holy shit, the music! And it is certainly a cool level to run through. The combination of the natural volcanic environment and the artificial mechanics such as the lifts powered by spin dashes that remind me of Metroid are really awesome. This is followed by a very stupid boss who falls for the same trick every time. Metal Sonic, Eggman, Hardboard Heavies, these people need to learn. Act 2 takes us deep into the mountain that really gets the Sonic and Knuckles nostalgia flowing, especially in Knuckles' version of the stage. For the first time in over 20 years, we see the Super Emeralds, which sadly seem cracked and depowered.
Actually, Christian Whitehead said on Twitter they're just stone relics.
Oh, so where are the real ones? However, the leader of the Hardboard Heavies appears and tries to take the Master Emerald for itself. Knuckles remembers what happened last time someone went for the Master Emerald through humorous doodles and jumps in to protect it. Yeah, Knuckles, like you're the protector of it or something. Meanwhile, what boss do Sonic and Tails go up against in this underground lava-ridden mountain? A motorbug riding biker bot. What the fuck? This is Heavy Rider and is once again confirmed female.
Don't you say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
We now reach the last classic level, which is Metallic Madness from Sonic CD. While I enjoyed Stardust Speedway in the original, Metallic Madness was alright actually. A lot more standard than the other gimmicky levels, but here in Sonic Mania we get two gimmicks. Act 1 has you jumping between the foreground and the background like something out of Virtual Boy Warrior Land. Yeah, that was the one to reference, completely makes sense, everyone knows that one. And Act 2 keeps the size beam from the original, and oh, just look at how cute they are. Even Knuckles. The level was worth it just for that.
Oh no.
Then there are the bosses, with Act 1's being the final boss from Sonic 1. Shit. I always sucked at this one. Even worse, since just when you think you've won, he starts going haywire all over the place. Fucking stop it, you're scaring me, fucking stop it. Act 2's boss is brand new. Thank God, because the bosses in Sonic CD suck. Which sees you fighting against a Gashapon machine, which drops out mini versions of classic bosses as well as Amy dolls. Great, now we've got to deal with that creepypasta. And when he runs out of capsules, Eggman is the last thing to fall out and he just bails. From here we finally enter the last level called Titanic Monarch, and my god, this is a gauntlet. A very long level full of traps, intimidating enemies, lots of places to get crushed, and suicidal egg robos. Poor guy couldn't handle being in Sonic R. It definitely keeps you on your toes. Boy, that 10-minute timer sure is looking scary now. Adding to this feeling of finality is the Act 1 boss, which sees its return from Sonic & Knuckles' Death Egg Zone. You know what, I gotta love Eggman's sense of sentiment. I also love the continuity of how Act 1 shows the Titanic Monarch itself in the background as you scale up it, while Act 2 has you inside it running along wires and machinery. Not quite sure why Eggman has stained glass windows installed, but I admire the flair. Look, he was even nice enough to make some for the hardboard heavies. It's like one big family. The final push has the level split into 4 sections which can be done in any order, and doing so opens a portal to the final boss. Using the power of the Phantom Ruby, Eggman uses an electrified machine that can teleport Sonic and Tails to fight the hardboard heavies again. It sure sounds like a lot, but the game is nice enough to stop the timer for this fight. After knocking out each arm and attacking it enough times, the entire place begins to explode, causing Sonic and Tails to run away and are saved by Knuckles, boys! Following this, the Titanic Monarch explodes, leaving behind Tiny Planet from Sonic CD. Didn't even realize that was part of the story until now. Sonic, Tails and Knuckles watch from afar, which brings us to the end of Sonic Mania. Before we take on the final boss, there's one thing we have to take care of. Throughout each act, you can find giant 3D rings, and jumping inside takes you to a special stage, and is hands down the best special stage in the entire franchise. No sleepy controls or just being shit, really. Just running through a 3D space after a UFO. It finally, cause instead of UFO catcher, now you catch UFO. It actually seems fair for once. The only times I failed were entirely my own fault. Also, the Sega Saturn style models are a delight. I would love a 3D Sonic game in this style. Maybe next time, Christian? Hell, I even love the music. Trust me, you're going to be hearing this a lot. If you want more of a special stage fix, hitting the checkpoint with over 25 rings lets you enter the special stage from Sonic 3. Crap. It's fun, but god damn, I suck at these. Always have and always will. Luckily, it's not mandatory. All you get are medals that unlock more options such as Mean Bean Machine mode, sound test, debug mode, and Knuckles mode. And with all 7 Chaos Emeralds in hand, let's take down Eggman as Super Sonic!
Speed!
Okay, well, Eggman's almost done. Just one last hit, and oh. So, for the true final boss, the leader of the hardboard heavies, the Heavy King, steals the Phantom Ruby for itself, and Eggman clashes with him in order to get it back, all while Super Sonic tries to intervene with even the timer not being able to keep up. So just to recap, the final boss is actually 2 bosses fighting each other for the Phantom Ruby while Super Sonic sneaks hits in while the timer goes mad. And as far as final bosses go, it's a tad underwhelming actually. The only real threat is running low on rings, because all you have to do is ram into each robot as they swap in and out until they explode. No real variation. Luckily the music and scenery makes up for it. So what now? Sonic beats the villain, saves the day and goes home safely? No. As Sonic lands the final hit, the Phantom Ruby knocks the Chaos Emeralds out of him, returning him back to normal, then opens a portal sending itself and Sonic through. The Titanic Monarch explodes, but only Tails and Knuckles remain. Sonic continues through the portal and that's it. That's the end of Sonic Mania. For real this time. As far as Tails and Knuckles know, Sonic could have died in there. So what does this all mean? Well, with the pose at the end matching the pose in the Sonic Forces reveal trailer, it's safe to say that's where Sonic went. Wait a minute. Sonic Forces? But that is finally Sonic Mania. This is the Sonic games classic fans have been clamoring for years. Perfect controls and handling, brand new stages that are already iconic and feel like they belong along these retro stages that are beautifully remastered. The option to play as Tails and Knuckles is a plus, and it just comes together beautifully. This is already my favorite 2D Sonic game and an excellent jumping on point for newcomers.
Mewtwo!
What?
Sonic made an excellent game. Fetch the finest wine we have.
Okay.
Very good.
Well, I guess I can score 2 hat-tricks while I'm at it. Yeah, do 3 Sonic games in a row and finish the Sonic Riders trilogy.